You can call it what you want.
No, we're in the middle of an argument, and well, we're not having an argument. We're having a discussion, and you want to lambaste doctors for putting their names on these papers that studied Dupixent.
Yeah.
And you said that it's not a cure. And my argument is that's not their problem. That's not the patient's problem.
So say that on camera, and
we are on camera.
Counter it.
We're on camera now.
Oh, okay.
I just turned it on.
Great. So may I start the way I thought I would begin?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I've been thinking about this for several weeks.
Yeah.
Whether to do it or not, but I think it's time. Because I've been receiving nothing but complaining letters from patients who are miserable and suffering. They have been put on all kinds of new drugs. 1,000 patients have failed on Dupixent, and I've seen them. They write letters to me. They come in to see me, or I'm taking care of them on telemedicine. And 1,000 is 1,000 failures, and they continue to advertise. And I thought about this. The president of Harvard, the president of Penn, and I think it was the president of Columbia were fired because they plagiarized or they did bad research or they stole data. Well, this is worse because big deal, somebody else lost a job. Here, patients are suffering. The insurance company is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for these drugs, and I'm going to name the names, that are not working, never did. And basically because the research paper allowed these doctors who we're going to talk about to sacrifice or give their patient in for as a guinea pig, fine, but the data was poor. All it showed was a little less itching and a little bit more sleep. Well, I could put a Vaseline on my face and say that.
But again, we're back to a misdiagnosis. If someone starts taking statins, and it affects their cholesterol, but in conjunction with taking statins, they've changed their entire diet and their lifestyle. What gets the credit? Statins,
well,
right?
It's statins. That's a nice example, but you're going to have to study those patients for 50 years to find out.
But see, that's my point. I don't think you can say, well, you can say, and it's true, Dupixent's a failure, but it's for the wrong diagnosis.
Okay, then let me put that in. It's the wrong diagnosis.
Okay, but then the conversation stops.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Then the doctors are even worse. They're treating the wrong diagnosis.
Isn't that the whole point? But isn't that the whole point of the channel?
That's right.
Okay, so arguing the specifics of Dupixent is a waste of time.
Not at $48,000 a year per patient.
No, I get it, but the argument is the misdiagnosis, not the applicability of the drug for the misdiagnosis.
So then the doctor should be blamed twice for making the wrong diagnosis, taking care of people in the wrong fashion, and being part of a study that showed very, very, very little difference between drug and placebo.
I agree with you 100%. But post-medical school, isn't the majority of, I guess, new information coming to the doctors from the pharmaceutical companies? Isn't that how they're finger quote learning?
They used to be given information from the bench laboratory scientists. The drug companies weren't involved. Drugs were not the big deal. Maybe once in a while, a really good brand new drug with a really great study or multiple studies was put on the market. Now it's a dime a dozen because a lot of money is being made.
Yeah.
And that's one of the terrible dilemmas. This is not just Dupixent. I have a list of the drugs that were approved.
No, I got it.
And
we see them on TV.
You see them on TV. And I see this Dupixent ad with a chubby middle-aged man dribbling a basketball.
Yeah.
And two kids are in the background smiling. And the ad comes out with, makes you look nice and feel better and a little less itchy.
Yeah.
Well, I can put Vaseline on my face and use that in an advertisement.
Yeah.
How dare them? They're lying to the public. Well, there have been failures.
But they were set up to fail. They were set up to fail by virtue of buying into this notion that there's such a thing called
Then
chronic
honest
eczema.
doctors should admit they were involved with the wrong people.
And I think that should be your crusade.
That's my crusade.
That should be your crusade.
That's my crusade.
Because arguing the efficacy of a drug for the wrong diagnosis is it's folly. We're wasting our breaths.
Well, but how do you deal with hundreds of doctors who perpetuate this, who lecture about it, who allow their name to stay on a paper that was not written by them, that was written by the drug company, who got huge stipends for sacrificing their patients, and they are home free?
Well, now that gets interesting because the doctors then, as a result of what you're saying, the doctors are subsidized for making the wrong diagnosis.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the bigger conspiracy.
It's not. It's bad in one sense. It's bad in two senses. It's bad in 10 sentences. It's bad.
You know, somebody asked me in the discussion about Dupixent if you and I are afraid of getting sued, and I said we're just quoting what it says at the bottom of the TV screen. That it only works if you take steroids.
There have been, nobody is saying anything.
I shouldn't say
There's been no TV ad. There's been no paper that says, oh, this is the greatest drug. We got 1,000 people who were cured. They haven't cured anybody unless they stop the steroids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it. The only ones who might have gotten better and keep putting them back on the steroids, they're never going to get better.
Well, and that also creates an interesting path because we know people who have gone off steroids and have taken Dupixent or have been prescribed Dupixent to ameliorate the symptoms of the withdrawal, which is also fascinating, which also the drug wasn't developed for.
Well, but when they flare, because they stop the steroids and they can flare for a couple of years, the doctor puts them back on some steroids to stop the flare. And they're back to step one.
The best quote I heard last week was, I'm not taking cyclosporine, I'm taking Dupixent because I'm afraid of the side effects of cyclosporine. It's like, oh, okay. Dupixent is just
it's a brand new drug, but who knows? If 30 years from now everybody is dead because of it.
It's just as safe as eating broccoli.
Yeah.
Oh Lord! I mean, we could name names and all that, but the bigger picture is it's a misdiagnosis. I mean, we can't say it enough.
Well, I think that you should call your doctor if they're on that list. If you don't think that's appropriate,
I want the channel to stay up as much as I can. I don't want to get rid of These people can see this. I mean, they can look it up.
There were papers written about, I'll name the drugs.
Yeah.
How about that?
Fine.
Simbincu, baricitinib, difamilast, lebrikizumab, tapinarof, trachokinumab, Rinvoq, and obviously Dupixent. That's 8 drugs that the papers I followed, carefully read everything. The protocol was poor. It was stopped very early. The results showed very little data other than some subjective data of little SH, a little more sleep, which is not the way drug studies or any study should be done. They have to be objective data with numbers. And they got published. One was written by Pfizer, the doctors at Pfizer.
Of course it was.
Of course, they're making money out of it. But the patients are suffering, and guess who gets the letter moaning?
But it's yeah, you do.
I do.
And they're upset
and
with
I'm more than happy to help, but it gets above my eyeballs sometimes. It's enough. It's enough.
It's curious because we've demonstrated, we've shown in the videos that the disclaimer for Dupixent is that the people that had the best benefit from it stayed on steroids, and Dupixent saying not to go off steroids without coordination and consultation with your doctor,
right?
And that steroids are vital to the efficacy of the drug. So that's one bucket. The next bucket is walk into the CVS and looking at the moisturizer section and the skin lotions and creams and all that, and they all make note of the fact that they're steroid free. It's like, wait a second.
It's good. It's bad.
Yeah.
Well,
could
it's like
somebody,
a ping pong game.
Yeah, right. Could somebody help me make that make sense?
Well, it's okay. It's weak. It's only hydrocortisone. It's not the real strong stuff. It's middle strength.
Well,
it's made in America.
I can personally speak to the over the counter hydrocortisone and its addicting factors. So that's an argument that's lost on me.
Let's remind the public.
Well,
how many years did you use?
Well, it's a little foggy, but over 20.
Over 20 years.
Yeah. And that was using over-the-counter topical steroids as a moisturizer, not therapeutically.
And all over the body.
Yeah, all over the body. Yeah. All over the body.
And you got away with it, until there was a moment, I'm not sure if the symptoms increased and you couldn't control or you weren't going to get away with it anymore.
Well, yeah, just never felt right. Never felt right. Would have to take at least 2 showers a day and reapply on the clean skin and all that. Never felt right. And I'll tell you, the night that I found out who you were and started watching some of those early videos that you produced, before we knew each other, the light just came on. It just all fell into place and made sense. And I know it sounds stupid, but going to see you in the office was almost perfunctory, because
a religious experience.
I had the answer, right? Yeah. And I had the answer. There was no need for a diagnosis from you. What I needed was somebody to hold my hand for 5 years to keep me from killing myself. Yeah. And when I say I didn't need a diagnosis, you diagnosed me through watching the videos. I learned so much about it just seeing what was out there. That's why I'm always grateful to hear when people have contacted you that they've looked at some of your videos, they're familiar with the material, so you're not having to go back to basics.
Well, they're complimenting you for the kinds of questions you're asking me during these interviews. We've made 45 of these. Yeah. And there are a lot of people I hope that we've influenced to make them better. But every day they suffer. And some days are much worse than others. The only thing on their mind, I'm sure if I was able to get into your brain every day of those 20 years, that was your skin was on your mind all day long.
Oh, absolutely.
All day long.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And you pushed it aside to get the job done, to work. Pushed it aside, and it would creep in again and again and again and again. Life was taken away.
I know I'm repeating myself, and I apologize, but we are in Los Angeles, California, and I have interests in Arizona. So I occasionally have to drive to Arizona. And I know where every truck stop with a shower is on I-10 from the 15 freeway all the way to Tucson. I know every single one, and I know which ones have the best water pressure.
And that's called an addiction also.
That's called an addiction.
Sure.
Yeah, I could do the topical steroid.
If you drove into a gas station and it was closed, you would panic. You would have panicked.
Well, I'd know where the next one was. Yeah.
Because the next one is 30 miles away.
Yeah.
What a way to live. And not ill, just miserable.
Well, and while I'm not miserable, I've mentioned it to you before, there's a little bit of that still in my head.
But you are so bright and cheery and optimistic and up. I'm so happy to be friends now with you, because you're a different human being. Lord. You smile and laugh.
Well,
we're going to have you run for president.
Once you've run the gauntlet, looking in the rearview mirror is a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling.
You sure you don't want me to mention names?
No, I don't want you.
I know, but
it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I mean, it's not going to change anything.
Then how do we? we have to get more information out somehow.
We are.
We got to stop the doctors from doing what they're doing.
This is it. This is it. This is it. The fact now that drugs are having to be advertised as steroid free, I think is irrelevant. That didn't happen a year ago. That's new. That's new. I mean, I know you want it overnight. It's not happening overnight, but it is happening.
But steroids are good for the appropriate thing in the appropriate amount of time. Period.
Yeah.
Not chronically. You get addicted. Period.
I think where the problem lies is that nobody can believe that this is a 3 to 5 year condition, and that the only reason it's a 3 to 5 year condition is because smart people haven't really applied any effort towards the subject.
Well, can we get in the head of the opioid addict? He or she must go through hell for 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
They don't quickly, as soon as they stop the drug, oh, I'm happy as a lark. No, they're bothered for a long time. Why? It's a different addiction, different part of the body involved. But why are these blood vessels still active for up to 5 years? It's amazing. It's amazing. And I get to know the patients very well because there's a lot of contact. They're miserable. They're suffering. Can I get pregnant? Can I go on the trip? Will I be okay for my daughter's wedding in 6 weeks? Will I look okay? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Their day is obsessively involved with their skin and what's going to happen in a minute from now, in 5 minutes from now. I don't think I want to live like that. It's like you got leprosy and you're not sure if your leg will fall off next in a minute because you read that legs fall off.
Well, I'm familiar with people with digestive disorders that are always thinking about the lavatory, the bathroom, and their proximity and all that, right?
Yeah, having colitis and worrying,
Oh.
not just looking for the shower on the road, but the bathroom. Exactly. Of course. But they're sick. These patients are not ill. That's sad. And now I'm going to stick to my guns. Now, this list of these drugs, they're running between $10,000 to $120,000 a year per patient.
Hey, it's
That's not fair that they're making that money.
It's good work if you can get it.
Yeah, I would love to own that company. Oh, no, you need to be on this drug for the rest of your life. Oh, whoa, that's
the other thing. You're a quack for saying it's 3 to 5 years, but if somebody says, oh, you're going to have to take Dupixent for the rest of your life, oh, okay.
Yeah, fine, no problem. And the doctors love it because they give the shot in the office and they get a fee for that in many instances. It's a game that I do not like. Medicine has gone downhill.
Well, we try to keep it at 10 minutes. This one's 18. For everybody that's watching us, please like, share, and subscribe. Believe it or not, it does affect the algorithm so that when people go on YouTube and type in eczema or Dupixent or hydrocortisone, our videos are starting to percolate to the top. And that is because of you. And I want to thank you for liking and sharing these videos because it's a huge deal. Dr. Rapaport, as always, thank you very much.
John, this was a very good tape. Very good taping.
Very good. All right. Until we see you again.